Hey, everybody. It is Monday, September 22nd. It's the fall equinox. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive and spiritual astrologer who is walking through some very challenging transits lately. I'm normally here on Sunday mornings from about 11 a.m. to 1 doing our weekly readings, but 2025 has been kicking my ass. So I'm going to just sort of give this a minute to see if anybody. Oh, hi, Millionaire Jay. How are you? Welcome, welcome. So good to see you in the chat. Okay. So, as I was saying, normally I'm here on Sunday mornings, but yesterday some things came up that needed attending to. So, without any, I know it's been a while. It's been a very challenging year for me. I have Chiron hovering over my ascendant. I have Neptune and Saturn hanging around my south node, which is what I'm going to talk a little bit about. Not myself, but these transits. And then we're going to do a reading for each sign. I want to say that not only am I going to do a tarot card, but I'm going to go back to something I did a couple of years ago, and I sort of abandoned it, really. I'm going to use my angel deck, and I'm going to use my Camelot deck, and I'm going to marry the cards together to do your readings, because I really think that we all need to feel a little bit closer to God or to spirit or to source, to whatever you find comforting in the way of your own higher power. I guess I want to put it that way. I don't want to be too worried about my words. I don't want to inflame anyone, but sometimes, certain words lately, like God, inflame people. All right, so let's talk a little bit about these transits that are going on. Yesterday we had our last eclipse of the year. It was 29 degree. It was at 29 degrees of Virgo. It was a partial solar eclipse, ushering in a new beginning. Now, this eclipse was very powerful because at 29 degrees of Virgo, we are at the anaretic degree. This degree is a stressor. It's a kind of a crisis degree because we're looking at a couple layers at this degree. First of all, you've mastered the sign, right? We've gone through this whole house of Virgo. We've looked at process. We've analyzed things. We've looked at what we do in our daily habits. We have started to analyze what we're enslaved to versus what brings us joy. And eclipses bring in opportunities, events, choices over a 6-month period of time. So this eclipse could bring a new opportunity all the way till next March. But usually there's a concentrated energy around the 2 weeks of the eclipse, 2 weeks before the eclipse or 2 weeks after the eclipse. This particular eclipse, now I know I'm talking backwards because I didn't do the show yesterday, but today is the fall equinox. Very important, Millionaire Jay, because we had hi, Queen Leo. So wonderful to see you in the room. We had a new moon at 0 degrees of Virgo. Then we had our the first eclipse of the season, which was the full moon in Pisces. Now we just had this. Hi, Cece Pups. I'm so excited you're all here. We had this eclipse yesterday. Now, Virgo, again, the thoughts of my mind, the processes of my mind. Now, this is what I was thinking about when I was talking to Spirit, because it's been since April 1st, literally when Neptune moved into Aries and became conjunct my south node. I feel like it's just been one series of interruptions, upsets, deaths, losses. Lucky is having his son is being pummeled by Neptune and Saturn right now. So he's really kind of looking his age, which worries me. Hey, Margie, nice to see you. But I wanted to bring this up because at this time, I kept saying to Spirit, I feel lost, but I don't feel lost. I feel like, and I realized I lost my why. Why do I do what I do? Why do I feel the passions I feel? Why am I so tenacious about certain beliefs. And my belief in the universe and the laws of the universe and the idea that source energy gives us where we focus is extremely, extremely powerful. Now, let's go back to the eclipse, which is at 29 degrees of Virgo. The 29 reduces down to an 11. A lot of people have alarms on their phone. Oh, it's 11:11. The voice of angels. What am I thinking right now? Because I'm manifesting. Now we've got the super galactic center at 2 degrees, 22 minutes of Libra, which literally is a point in the universe which allows you to recognize that you are source energy. That you, as you know, in the church, they would say you're a divine piece of God, the spark of God. And all of that is true. It's just worded differently. So now the challenge is, was I willing to, in the first eclipse, to remove the illusions or to recognize the illusions and to allow the divinity that Pisces and Neptune represents and start to truly build a structure of that? Because these times are so incredibly inflamed with the human ego that we've got to learn how to recognize where we're edging God out and where disruption brings exciting God opportunities for us to step through. So if for some reason a door closes, there is a loss, there is a feeling of something slipping away. That can be that, that Neptune in air. Well, Neptune's now at 0 degrees of Aries, but this is going to be a theme that's sitting underneath everything. The inner planets, okay, the idea that Mars has moved into its rulership today. It is at 0 degrees of Scorpio. It is going to move over the next couple of days, over this week, over 2 degrees of Scorpio, which is the Shapley attractor. Where am I willing to release false attachments to anger, resentment, or a lack of bravery, or being not following through? Sometimes the Mars energy gets excited about something and then it loses steam. So this particular week, I think, with the eclipses and the fall equinox today, because literally we start this day in Virgo and then it will move into Libra. And depending upon the time of birth, a child that's born this morning will still be a Virgo, 29 or 29, 59 degrees of Virgo. But a child born this evening will be a Libra. So interesting. Okay. So where I'm going with this is, as you're aware of the eclipse, and the eclipse offered the new moon. In the darkness of night, we come together and we plant the seeds of faith. Also, what I wanted to point out was, and the full moon Pisces eclipse, Mercury was just in front of the eclipse. Now, in this new moon eclipse, Mercury's on the other side of the sun and the moon together. So again, this to me is emphasizing the Virgo energy, the energy of thought, of process, of speech, of what we teach, of who we interact with on a daily basis. Because Mercury rules a lot in the chart, and it rules things that move quickly as well. So we've got Mars in Scorpio wanting to move quickly now. And then we have Mercury involved with these eclipses. So you could find that a lot of what happens to your over the next few weeks or over the next 6 months is you could change the way you're thinking about something, or you could find your focus is better, or you could find that you're extremely distracted by things. And that distraction will now lead me to my next point, is the why. Saturn and Neptune, and with Neptune sitting on the 0 degree of Aries, wherever this is in your chart, this is the beginning of the new creation of the self. And I think that one of the things that Saturn and Neptune has been doing on my South Node is triggering my feelings of invisibility, because it's in my 12th house, feeling like I'm not making any effect or doing good work, or it's just like a big circle, and there's weird shit that's going on in the background. And I realized in my meditation this morning that my why was getting caught up with my ego. Now let's look at Neptune. Neptune is not only, insane asylums, it's the ashrams and the temples. And what side will I take? What will I foster, right? Then I look at Saturn. Saturn is always limiting and restrictive in the beginning, but Saturn offers reward. What is the reward now? Is to really let that illusion go away. Am I measuring myself by the other humans in my life, by how they think I'm thriving or what they think is good? Do I ever consider my true wants and desires, or do I inadvertently think of how the audience, the other people, will respond? I do this all the time without realizing it. I think I'm being authentic to myself, but lately it's been something else. So, this is where Mars is saying, where am I willing to be brave and let go of false attachments if for some reason you're only being seen as a crazy warrior? The eclipses are offering you an opportunity to look at your thought process and how often am I able to really focus in on and feel the desire of what I want, or do I end up defaulting down to the challenges, the struggles, the hills to climb? I think that's really, really powerful. It's also important to note that, well, let me start with the sun. As the sun enters Libra and it's also joining the galactic center. So it was in the eclipse, it was having a conversation with the galactic center. And now the moon has moved on, obviously, but now the sun is going to sit for a day or two and hover over this center, again, emphasizing my light, my vitality, my ego. And in doing so, as it enters Libra, that's today, it's making that opposition to Neptune. So there's going to be a push pull between, like almost like the illusion is, I'm afraid if I'm authentic to myself, I will be villainized or I will be, scorned in some way. Things are very polarizing right now. And I thought it was very interesting that today Saturn is retrograde at 28 degrees of Pisces, because when we get into those later degrees, obviously they're mastering degrees, but the 28 and the 29 both reduce down to a 1 of some kind. The first 28 is a 10 and then the 11. So to me, this is like an opportunity to be very aware of toxic energy, toxic people, or toxic information. What is being fueled into my mind, or what is being fostered underneath that plays to the old story. There's a weird thing whenever we try to rise above, like where we've been, oftentimes we'll inadvertently be a magnet for where we have been. And it feels like, oh, this is just trying to get in my way, or this is just trying to hold me back. But it's actually the moment of pushing through to the other side. It's that Saturn, enduring through that pain. We have Mars making a square to Pluto retrograding, as well as it's entered its rulership. Now, these two guys are like the warriors. If you've got Pluto and Mars both in Scorpio, you could be a fabulous surgeon. You could be, razor sharp, and you could also be an amazing criminal, depending upon the rest of your aspects. Good morning. Just call me. See, did I say hi to Margie? I hope I did. Because this square, Pluto's stationing to go direct in the beginning of October, mid-October. And Pluto in Aquarius at 1 degree is really thinking about not only the future, but just sick and tired of anything that's holding him back. Really just ready to remove what has been false, what has been dominant, what has been detrimental, to my expansion. And I think that Mars, as it's approaching that Shapley attractor and being tasked to let go of something, or I want to reframe that, let grow something that has up until now been annoying. In Lucky's transits, he's still eating, but it's hot here, it's muggy here, it's humid here. He is 13 and a half years old. The lifespan of this dog is 14 years, according to statistics. I don't think he's going to drop over tomorrow, but he's definitely slowing down. His happy-go-lucky, joyful moments are more like, 20 minutes a day. And then he's, kind of just hanging out, laying on the floor, looking at me. And the reason I bring that up is because there's a part of me that has to know when I knew when I got the dog, I would lose the dog. And I have to be in the moment now versus always looking to that. Where is something going to hit me? Where am I going to be hurt? That's really on the docket in the stars right now. We are all kind of sitting in this sort of almost a post-traumatic stress kind of feeling because there's been so much pummeling us. And this is why Mars and the square to Pluto could make us feel like such a fight to want to move into our future, but we feel anchored back into what's had power over our minds. And this is why we can't really let it go, but in the awareness, we can let it grow. And that's where I think it's kind of, it's a time where awareness is the only way out. You can't really ascend. I think you can only note where you are in that moment and then use your divinity. Thank you, God. Thank you, angels. Thank you, whoever you are up there running the show, whether it's source energy or whether it's a big computer just calculating our thoughts and pummeling them back at us. It's important for us to just have an awareness of that and then engage that energy to help us find our balance. Because I feel like if we're trying to stand balanced in the midst of this, storm, Aries, Neptune and Saturn have not sat at this point, on the world axis in the late degrees of Pisces and the early degrees of Aries for 1470 years. I mean, that's not even a joke here as to what it is offering us in the way of truly incorporating an old structure that is antiquated. Saturn and Neptune is wanting to escape it rather than transform it. And that's what Pluto's asking us to do, is to really use that mind, that genius. And then I think that's where Mercury bouncing around both either sides of these eclipses is bringing that awareness into our thoughts, and I want to offer this too. Oh, good morning, 14 Ree. Good to see you here. Thank you so much. I want to offer this too, because I do think that I want to re-emphasize that at this time, hi, Georgia. Thank you for being here. Good to see everybody. I want to offer this because the why am I doing what I'm doing? And this is where I'm going with this. I have in my lifetime done things that I didn't even know I was doing. I have bought furniture. I have endeavored certain things because I thought I wanted them. But the why was I wanted people to accept me, or I wanted other people to approve of me, or I wanted them to validate me, or I wanted them to think I was smart or lovable or whatever. And I'm not saying that humans don't need that, but I think with this Saturn Neptune, it's really about removing the fog and the old story and rewriting the why. Because I think if we get down to the why do I want to do this, or why am I endeavoring this, then the joy of it will be able to come back. And then the law of attraction will bring the people and the resources that align to that why. Because I've been struggling with this show for 4 months and I love this show. But I started to realize that in 2024, I was buying, numbers by advertising. They feel false. We see here, I know it's a Monday, but, the live has always been kind of an intimate group. And I started to think that I started to negate that intimate group. Not you guys. I mean, I love you, but I'm like, I want to grow. I should be bigger. I should be, more people. And then all of a sudden I'm like, why am I doing that? I don't really have a why that I want to do that. I don't want to be the biggest astrologer in the world. I don't want to be quote unquote famous. I just want resources, money, and I want people to live happy lives. And I forgot that. And that's why I've been struggling with this show. So today I'm going back to the angel cards. I'm going to go back to the Camelot deck, and I'm going to use the tarot. We're going to pull one card from each for each spread. And I almost want to cry right now because I feel almost touched by spirit to feel a sense of relief to understand that I was caught up somehow in a why that I didn't necessarily want. Meaning, more notoriety, more, supposed influence. But what I don't realize is that it's not about my influence. It's about you guys. And each one of you that takes whatever you find valuable out of these broadcasts, and then you go out into your world and you touch those people. That's the real why. So, true confessions of a spiritual psychic. Okay, let's go on to our readings. Now we always start with the birthday people. So now I'm confused because should I do Virgo or should I do Libra? Let's see if the sun has moved into Libra yet. Let me look, because it's a matter of time today. All right, the current chart, the sun has moved into Libra. It is at 0 degrees, 1 minute. So there we are. All right, so let's do our Libras. Happy birthday to all my Libras. Now I want to offer this because, you think, oh, that Neptune Saturn conjunction, it's over there. It's not. It's opposite you, and it's affecting you. And depending upon the degree, that'll be the intensity. But I started to think that these two planets have enough influence to affect the whole sign. And I also want to go back, meaning the whole sign of Libra, but meaning from 0 to 29 degrees. But the 0 to, let's say, 5 degrees right now, intensity. And check in Placidus, because the whole sign thing has homogenized my personal chart so much. Happy birthday, Georgia. Then you're exactly who I'm talking about right now, because you would be feeling this opposition from Neptune and from Saturn. And this would be something that's outside of yourself that could potentially be like an old illusion or an old obstacle, an old feeling of being invisible and not feeling strength in. I guess I want to say, we, as humans, we all want to be validated for what we create, and I think that this opposition could create tension there. And so this is where, again, I feel like this is where, what do we go back to ourselves? Because again, this is Saturn and Neptune on the world axis of recreating the self. And also this Neptune thing could be very creative. You could be fighting with yourself. I'm too old to write music. I'm too old to sing. I'm too old to blah, 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 or I'm too ugly, or I'm too fat, or I'm too not talented. I mean, there's a million stories you could say that aren't true, or, you don't know if they're true or not because you haven't tried and you haven't gone into that endeavor looking to be you in the endeavor rather than the audience. So I want to offer it this way. If anybody because all the cardinal signs are experiencing this either in square, opposition, or conjunction. And if indeed you're feeling this square, the tension, it's better to try and to really note, is my heart starting to sing? All right, let's see what the angels have to say. We're going to pull one card from the angel deck, one from the Camelot deck, and one from the tarot deck and put them together. Because when I come back to my why about this show, my why is that I just want to be authentic. I want to be 100% Teri. I want to share my passion, and I want to share my beliefs, and I want to empower. So if I come in here and start worrying about numbers, or I worry about whether I made $10 or $5, and everybody needs money, and God knows I need more money now than I have in years, but that's not why I'm doing this. So again, I really want to compel you all to look at the deeper why. And solar return, Georgia, the day after a new moon eclipse, that's very powerful. And having your sun conjunct the supergalactic center means that you have the ability to shine your light and attract everything you need as you anchor in your light. Now, the sun in Libra is technically in fall, but I think part of that is because I've been thinking about Mars as well, as Mars is also considered in detriment in Libra. But this is where these planets, because the sun is very egocentric on some level, and so is Mars. Mars just left Libra. The sun here now gets to be, how can I create harmony and balance through my passions? Because as I take care of me, I bring I bring balance into all of my relationships. I bring justice into my relationships. I bring diplomacy. I bring a sense of beauty. So that's super, super powerful. Now, if we think about, if we're going Libra rising, then it would depend, because these are basically normally Libra rising. I'm not doing them on Libra sun. That makes Aries your seventh house. That makes that this conjunction between Neptune and Saturn is on your descendant. It's going back and forth somewhere there. So I think that's really powerful, because the descendant is where the sun is descending at or the horizon is descending at the time that you're being born. And so this could also be like, where have I let myself in my daily habits been less than, or felt a sense of putting myself second? Okay, here we go. Let's see where we're going with this. We've got the angel card is Teresa. Time out. You've been so busy, time for rest. Now we have the Camelot deck is giving us the partnership card. And let's see what our tarot card is. The Hierophant. Isn't this beautiful? This is absolutely, and I want to offer this for all my Libras right now. We just talked about the supergalactic center, which is a very powerful point within the galaxy, right? And so I know I'm coming back to basics. That's what I feel like. I feel like I was getting all blah, 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 and I feel like I need to come back to center and then recalibrate from there, because this Teresa card feels like it's time to rest and be in partnership with your divinity, Libra. Literally, you look at this Hierophant, look at the stars that are coming from the top of his head. You're protected from anything by the bear. The bull, representing the Taurus energy, will bring you bounty. And I feel like this is recalibrating your connection to the supergalactic center, that you are source energy. So these readings are technically based on whole sign Western astrology, because if I do Placidus, I feel like I would throw people off. But you guys are pretty schooled by now. So look in Placidus. Look where your rising sign is, and feel a sense of peace and rest. Feel a sense of connection, even if for some reason it feels a little foggy right now. And know that you are being touched into a place that is activating something. Okay, see how this Hierophant is activating the labyrinth, and we've got the dove of peace there. And yet there's always going to be obstacles. The obstacles on some level will represent an opportunity to walk through an energy and strengthen oneself. So this transit right now is strengthening the why. Why am I doing this? Am I really doing it because I wake up in the morning and I can't wait to sit in this energy? Or am I doing this because somewhere I think it's going to provide me something over here? That's shaky ground. Okay, let's do our Scorpios. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Now, Scorpios are feeling a square from Pluto. Wait, let me think. Yeah, all the fixed signs are feeling that. So early born Scorpios and any planets in early born Scorpio are starting to feel that. And that square is going to be, what do you know deep down inside? What has power and control over you that you have let just kind of float? Oh, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. But it's not. And I want to offer this too, because many people may be feeling like they're revisiting energies that have been gone for a long time. Like maybe it could be like, oh my God, I started dating liars again, or oh my God, I started feeling poor again, or wherever you have your little divot of sensitivity, your vulnerability, your Achilles heel, that's Saturn coming up. And Saturn is going to ask you if you're brave enough to be bigger than your smallest thought. Because the only way to be bigger than your smallest thought is to give it up to spirit. Giving up that worry and then recognizing, where is my focus? All right, what's our angel card for Scorpio? Feels good to have these cards in my hand again. Whoops. All right, I feel like this is the card for Scorpio. Maya, schooling and education. Holy moly. Did you just go look up your chart, Georgia? I hope so, because that's huge. That means that eclipse is bringing in something huge for you over the next couple of weeks, potentially. Could have even started to show evidence. Whole new beginning of some kind. It could take 6 months to play itself out. Usually it's faster. And that also makes your sun conjunct that supergalactic center. So remember that, because as you focus, you draw in what you need, the people, the resources. Last year, I was playing around with the lottery. I was kind of having a little bit of fun with it, I got to tell you. And I was doing it with Jupiter. It was in something that made me, Jupiter was in Taurus when I was doing it. So I thought it would bring me money because my moon is in Taurus. And I found lottery tickets that hadn't been scratched that were winners on the ground. Funny things, I would go up to the lottery machine and someone left money in it. So, and that was all because, and then I started focusing in on this can't really work, and it dried up. I even watched myself, I have to practice as much as you guys do. All right, here we have Scorpio, Maya and the bee. You are learning about your being energy and what you're focusing on. And this is a little bit of the challenge of the Scorpio, because, when you're pissed off, you can be a little brooding. I love you so much, but, you're known to be intense, and that intensity is passion. Okay. But it can come off a little bit intimidating. Let's see where the tarot card is taking us, because Maya is all about schooling and education, but this is not about study per se. This is not necessarily university. This is the study of your own being energy. And, have you ever noticed when you're in a hurry and you're frustrated in traffic, you hit every damn red light? And when you have all the time in the world and you actually need to blow some time, you'll hit every green light in the world. It's the perfect example of resistance and surrender. And that's exactly what Saturn and Neptune are. Neptune would be the surrender and its divine energy, and Saturn would be the resistance, the limitation in its challenging energy. Because that's where we're going. It's kind of like, I hate to say it, but it's like give it up to God, but it's give it up to source energy. It's give it up to the law of attraction. And that's where your co-creation comes in, because it's just as much about understanding yourself and that co-creator as it is about engaging the universe. I hope you have a lovely, lovely day and do something super special. It really would be a day to knock it out, as you're setting that intention and telling the universe that you're abundant. So you do something abundant for yourself, whatever you like. Okay. Oh, this is lovely for my Scorpios. Okay. So this is where I'm saying, turn it over to God. But you know what? I would turn it over to God, Queen Leo, but I would say, God, I want to work with you in this. Because I never want, because that when bad things happen, I always think of The Shack, okay? And how God is depicted in that movie, to me, is really beautiful, because God has great empathy for the darkness in the world and the evil in the world. And, Mac is so frustrated because God should be able to stop the evil, right? But God can't stop the evil. That's part of how the universe works. And this takes me back to Scorpio, because what Scorpio is learning, and what Scorpio has an opportunity to understand and to feel victorious, is within their own being energy. This is a twofer, because we've got victory in the form of the bee and victory in the form of the chariot. The chariot's where there's two sides of yourself that are literally fighting each other. And more than likely, it's the divinity within and the ego, right? And you're going back and forth. But what the charioteer, his greatest power is the moons. This rules the sign of Cancer. So being in touch with your emotions and having those emotions, being aware of the push-pull, and then this opens up the space for God to come in, for source energy, for the light, for the beings that represent love. I really like to use the word love, because love feels very expansive, and God feels like Abraham Lincoln sitting on the Lincoln Memorial, a little stiff. So I think that this is beautiful. I think we're talking about the fall equinox here today. So you also have an opportunity to harvest the energy with what you know about yourself. Because what I never want a powerful sign like Scorpio to do is to dumb down. You don't want to dumb down. You just want to know how to use your sword, your knife, your scalpel, so that you can cut through to the truth without chewing up the whole situation. So this sounds good. All right, let's go on to our Sagittarius, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. I really believe that God is an empowering energy. As a child, I was raised in the church, in a Presbyterian church, and it was very celebratory. We sang, we danced, we communed with God in ways that created a very personal relationship. And as I've aged, and I've seen how, religion kind of compartmentalizes things, and I feel like God is so incredibly expansive that I find myself vacillating in my verbiage of sounding sort of more religious, but thinking in a more expansive way. All right. This is for Sagittarius, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. We have the Xana. That's protection. Thank goodness for that. It's interesting that as I looked at this, I haven't looked at these cards in a long time. Xana, just the Z stuck out, and I'm like, oh, it's the end of the alphabet. And then I noticed for probably the first time ever that Xana is protecting the home. She's on a porch. And I felt like Spirit was saying, you're protected, come home, you're home now. And I think that isn't a place, but rather a vibration. Oh, what am I doing? Got all caught up. And it's interesting too, when I look at this, Xana's wearing, almost looks like she's wearing a turtleneck or something. Like, I feel like if you can look at the card real closely, you can see that there's like the heart, the crystals in the middle, and then it feels almost like there's a collar coming up. And I feel like the heart is extending up through the voice. And I wonder if what Spirit is starting to say is that you're protected and you can use your voice. Let's see. There's the Queen, which is all about fertility. It's all about creation. It's all about reception. And the Queen is Venus, and the Queen also, Venus rules the voice. Let's see where we're going with our tarot. The Queen of Pentacles. Well, this is so nice. All right. What we have here is a real calling to stand in a high vibration of reception and co-creation. You are protected as you co-create, and you co-create from your heart. Now, when I was looking at the caller and the voice, it wasn't necessarily about the conversation that I'm having with another person. It was about the conversation I'm having with myself and my willingness to know that I'm a co-creator with the universe, and that the feminine energy is the ultimate energy to give life. And here is the Queen of Pentacles offering to bring that life into the material world. So Sagittarius, you have a real opportunity to, through this eclipse energy, harvest what you have garnished through this year in what you know you want for yourself. And to me, the Queen of Pentacles is about standing in total mastery of receiving what comes forward. There's a strong Capricorn energy to the Queen of Pentacles. When we see her in the normal Rider-Waite deck, and I call it normal because all tarot decks are based on that particular deck, you can see the goats everywhere. And here, I almost feel like the goat is like telling me to be stubborn, like to stay the course. You're being protected. If there is a wobble, you will receive. And I want to offer this too, because I think we're all going through a damn wobble. That Saturn, Neptune, even if you don't have any planets around it, it could be making aspects in ways that you just don't recognize. The eclipse, the Pisces eclipse for me made aspects both to my midheaven and my IC, but no planets in my chart. So that was an interesting thing, considering what's going on in the background here, because the Queen of Pentacles, she builds on a strong foundation. And that strong foundation goes to knowing that you're protected. Now, let's also talk about this Sagittarius, because there's two very powerful points within that Shapley cluster that are in Sagittarius. 14 degrees of Sagittarius is the great attractor, similar to the supergalactic center in its ability to attract whatever resources that you need, right? And that's about concentrating on the outcome. You know, I need resources to come in and let me do. Okay, sounds good. So this is, and then, so the supergalactic center also has a nice wide orb, 10, 12 degrees. So any planets within that 14 degrees of Sagittarius, you can use that planet's energy to harness. Then we have a much tighter orb with the galactic center, but it's an opportunity through meditation, through, mindful action, mindful walking, to download and commune with God and the angels and get solutions. So here, Spirit is saying, if you're in a little bit of a wobble, you have an opportunity to open up through knowing that you're protected, knowing that the wobble will actually bring more strength to you because you'll understand the wobble more moving forward. And I want to offer this too. The wobble is in the mind: fear, faith, worry, clarity. And I think that's Pluto and Uranus in Gemini, all shifting the way we're thinking, because over the next 20 years, Pluto is going to make itself known that we are co-creators. Pluto is going to bring up the underbelly of restriction in our thoughts, in our genius. And those that step into their genius, and sometimes that genius is as simple as saying, I know I'm in a resistant energy and I'm going to go take a nap. Because if I try to make something happen with all this worry around my head, I'm going to lose my mind. All right, let's go on to our Capricorns, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. For those that just came in, I'm pulling one angel card, one Camelot card, and one tarot card for each sign. We're kind of recalibrating back to basics and remembering the why am I endeavoring what I'm endeavoring? Why am I eating the food I'm eating? Why am I dating the person I'm dating? Why am I watching the news channel I'm watching? Why am I listening to the music I'm doing? Why am I, whatever it is? And if you can say to the why, because I really want to be here, this is where I want to put my time, you're in the right place. But if there's any other reason, step back and look a little deeper. All right, Capricorn, you're at the end of a life cycle. Caress is here to comfort you. There's the Earth Fairy. Well, isn't that interesting? Okay, the Earth Fairy, because you're all about physical health, foundations, and building things. Now, again, I just want to emphasize that all the cardinals are feeling the Saturn and Neptune transit. It's a transit that conjunction has not happened for almost 1,500 years. So it is really, it is so powerful. It is so literally changing the structure. And that's what's happening here. Something in your earthly world is changing somehow, but it's going to put something that's more aligned to the reward. The emphasis is normally on Saturn's more challenging sides, and I am not going to dismiss that because Saturn is definitely restricting in the beginning. But Saturn also rewards the tenacity through it. And there's the Prince of Wands. All right, so here comes Prince of Wands is literally the Page of Wands. So there's some sort of new bit of fire, of creativity, of passion. But this is after another chapter closes. So if you saw something in, let me think, if you're a Capricorn rising, then Pisces is your third house. So you might have found something within, your third house. Third house is another house where your everyday activities show up, if you ask me. So, and that ending could be something to do with just a chapter closing. Some people are going through, their children are graduating and they're going on to new things. But whatever this is, Spirit is asking you to connect very strongly to your ruling planet and demand the reward, to start to say, all right, so if this is moving aside, I want to step into this vibration and I want to feel this alignment, because this is a little bit sorrowful. This feels a wee bit arduous still, the Earth Fairy. It's like I'm having to somehow, in fact, it's a 27, which is a 9. So again, there's something about wrapping something up there. And yet we have new fire, new passion, new opportunities. And this feels much more fun and much more wonderful. And I just got it. You're going to you know what? This is the thing. You're going potentially from the stubborn old goat to the baby goat again. And it's allowing yourself to open up and play in the yard. When I saw the lion and the page, all of a sudden I felt like there's playtime here. Everybody's running around and playing. And that might be what it starts the passion, or starts. Maybe it's the arduousness, the constant enduring of something that steps aside that brings us in. Okay. I think that could also be the eclipse offering a new beginning of some kind. All right, let's go on to our Aquariuses. Not easy to be Aquarius, first house, with Pluto transiting it, because the little challenge with Aquarius is sometimes it's so futuristic that it almost misses the day-to-day, like what's happening right in front of its face. So as Pluto enters Aquarius, Pluto's actually Aquarius's greatest friend, because Pluto's assisting Aquarius to rebel against the old regime, to step into the new vibration. The challenge is, will it be done with the surgical skills of a surgeon, or will it be done like, and that's your awareness? Because I personally would rather just have a fine, small scalpel mark than blow up. All right, let's see. Oh, well, we got Shanti, the angel of peace, who flew out for you. So that's nice. Let's see. Now, on this card, I'll show it to you in a minute, you see a lion and a lamb. And, normally the lamb is the prey of the lion, but here we're all living in harmony and in peace. And I also, it's fun not to have used these cards for a while, because the color of Shanti's wings being this sort of coral color, and her outfit is making me feel like I have married my desires with the divine, and I'm in a sense of peace about it. I'm no longer worried. If you think about it, this lion obviously must feel full, or is not, hungry in any way. Otherwise, he would eat the lamb. So there must be something coming up that's going to bring more bounty, more smoothness, more cooperation. And it might be just within yourself. There's the water fairy, emotions. It's also a 28. Which reduces down to a 10. So I always aware of that, because we don't want to ever endeavor anything in the physical world when we are in a out of balance way, where we're too worried, we're too scared. That's when they say mistakes happen, but vibrationally we're not focused. We're caught in the fog. So Shanti would be bringing peace. So that's an emotional card. The water fairy is saying, be aware of your emotions, and how, I guess, you're creating peace for yourself. It's interesting, too, because, I don't think of Aquarius as a naturally super emotive sign, because, again, there's a tendency to look to the future. But when I saw this, all of a sudden, I thought that she sort of seems like she's protecting her heart from things that would not be good for it. She's not standing here like this emotionally. She's in some ways naked, and looking. So there's a sense of discernment is a good way to put it. So Shanti, being the angel of peace, is trusting my sacral chakra, trusting my gut instinct, and being smart enough to not be fully at guard, but not to expose myself to that which would be um, challenging or not honoring my heart. Now we have the magician, which is lovely because this is where you have all the tools, where you have everything you need. And the magician in its upright position is always about as above, so below. So I believe that in order to manifest, it's the be, do, have. What is my being energy? What is my belief? What is my emotional body? Where am I sitting? This is what this is saying right now. When you get in touch and you get in, when Aquarius gets in a sense of peace, that there will within your heart, that says whatever discord there has been between the lion and the lamb, or wherever you have potentially felt like the lamb that would be eaten by the lion, it's important to emotionally protect yourself while staying open, because you have all the tools to bring that balance back into your physical experience. Now, in this particular deck, what is interesting to me is that there's sort of this passionate kind of, almost feels like a sparkler, right? That he's waving up here, but there's a lightning bolt that's coming into the ground here. So there's commanding here. So as you're aware of your emotions, am I living in a place of, because that Pluto thing will make you feel super like other people have potentially power over you, or you'll have fear of power over you in some way. And now you have to discern whether that's true or not. What do they say? You're only as strong as your greatest fear. I don't know. All right, let's go on to our Pisces, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Now, while I do this, based on rising sign and whole sign, just in case there's a large group of people, again, I want to encourage you guys to look at your charts in Placidus, because as a 26-degree Aries rising, my whole first house gets pushed up into the 12th house. My actual first house is Taurus with the moon in it and a little bit of Gemini, and the degree is a 29-degree first second house cusp. That's really important. And if anybody knows me and knows astrology, they would see my moon in the first house. Oh, it's so strong. When I get on something, I'm like a bull. I'm like, no. I'm trying to soften that. But so I really think to look at that, because it just changed everything for me. It made so much more sense. It also scared me a little bit. Okay. For our Pisces, Bethany is here. It's all about self-care. If you're a Pisces moon, self-care could not be more important. Your sensitivity, your ability to empath, it's so important. I think of all the signs of the zodiac, Pisces has to be the most careful of toxic people around them, because they will buy a story and try to make somebody feel better in ways that that is impossible. Like, you cannot make someone happy unless they want to be happy. You can't make somebody trust you unless they want to look at trust, So sometimes Pisces is rough. Okay, we have the serpent. This is all about you, Pisces. The serpent is about knowledge and healing, but it's about shedding a skin. And I think that skin is a skin of being compassionate for somebody's story. When a person starts to connect to their awareness and the laws of the universe and how those interact with our thoughts as signals, sending, like, almost imagine radio waves coming out of your head to the universe, sending different thoughts, bringing in different reactions. You will find that you're so much more powerful when you take care of yourself than you would be if you buy into something else. This self-care thing and the shedding of the skin feels like it's not so much about a healing as much as it is about a balancing and then tapping into that universal knowledge that knows that you can't help anybody if you don't help yourself. You cannot give enough of yourself away to help somebody. And usually the type of person that Pisces will attract is somebody who will suck their life right out of them. The Gemini moon would actually be a totally want to move. The Pisces rising, the thing about that is you've got the South Node going through your 7th house right now. And the first house is, depending upon Placidus, has got the North Node. So you'll have to stretch yourself because your tendency will be to fall back to your responsibilities in that 7th house. So I always say this too: if you want to make a big move, take a vacation for a month and get an Airbnb and go there and see what it's like. It's a lot cheaper than moving everything. All right, Queen Leo, we'll say Leo will be up, almost last. I'm sorry, but it'll be there, and I'll try to get the timestamps up too after my reading. Okay. Oh, this is beautiful, Pisces. The 6 of Cups comes out of the tarot. There will be a healing and an offering of whatever your story has been, whatever your history has been. The 6 of Cups is a card of nostalgia. It's childhood. It is where you've been. So here, as you take care of yourself, and I want to offer this: music, any kind of creativity, photography, allowing yourself to really put yourself at the forefront, and study. Allow yourself. Jupiter co-rules Pisces, and that's literally foreign travel in a spiritual realm. So here, I feel like when I look at the 6 of Cups, we see these children flying over the sun. This is about you being able to transcend your ego and your childhood challenges by letting them grow. And the growth is, let me look to the bud let me look to the bloom versus looking to the bud. I always tell people that, we all have a story from our childhood, but that story is only as alive as the story that's being told. They say when somebody dies that, it's only until the last person says their name the last time that they truly die. And I think that's an interesting way of looking at memory in 2 ways. One way is honoring something you love, and the other is being stuck in something that doesn't serve you. So if you've been reliving your childhood, and God knows you could be reliving all sorts of things related to how you're perceived, because this is about you, you get to redefine that in this moment. You don't need to take that with you into the next moment or the next chapter. And that's what the beauty of that eclipse in your 1st house was all about, was illuminating any deceptions. And the deception could be that you're not good enough, or you're not lovable enough, or you're not whatever enough. All right, let's go on to our Aries, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Early born Aries sun. Oh, be gentle with yourself, because, being so full of fire and the warrior could really make you default. It could make you go, I literally have been felt a little defeated lately. And I don't even think it's anything going on outside. I think it's just like this old feeling of feeling defeated, feeling invisible, feeling, sometimes I feel like a cow, like people just reach out to me and they're like, la, 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 but there's no exchange of energy, really. And that's important to me because I'm the only one taking care of me. So I got to put up good boundaries for that. But I also can get hot and get pity party about it. So then I have to realize that my Libra sun and my Taurus moon create that connection, create that relationship. So I'm not really a victim to those things. It's just about healthy boundaries. So somewhere, Aries, you're being offered a history, what's going on with your history, Saturn, where you have not seen yourself and put in healthy boundaries to take care of you. In the meantime, ask yourself the right questions. Is this a habit of me not feeling valuable, or is it the truth. People are really using me. It depends on what's going on in your Aries house, because some people have the South Node there, some people have their Sun there. Whatever planets are there, I have my rising sign there. It's important to look at that, because that transit's going to be go on for a while. Saturn and Neptune running through Aries. So let's see what the angels have to say. Vanessa, how will you make your decision? Will it be based on faith or fear? What takes me towards my purpose? This is the why all over again. Why am I doing this? That's the other thing about Aries. While Aries is not necessarily known for, Aries is known for leadership. And when we think of heroes, we think of a certain sense of accolade, but not always is Mars the leader. I just think of Mars as the general to the commander in chief. And sometimes I think that can make Mars frustrated, because Mars is the one going into the thick of things. So I think here Vanessa's asking you, what is really bringing you to your deeper truth? And is your deeper truth based on wanting other people to approve of you, like you, agree with you, see you as cool as the leader? Or do you see yourself as that already and then go from there? Let's see. Camelot deck says the truth. Exactly. What is the truth of where your faith is? Where is the truth of what your divine purpose is? Because sometimes our divine purpose is not about changing the world. It's about staying the course in our own life and representing for ourselves whatever it is that we want, that is our deeper truth. My deeper truth has always been peace. And people who are famous have no peace. They're running all over the place like crazy, playing to that audience or playing to that dynamic. So when I recognize that I have a push-pull between wanting other people to validate the whole inside of me that looks like blah, blah, or am I willing to do that? The moon in the first house. It's my responsibility. All right, Aries. And your final tarot card is the Seven of Swords reversed. Now, this is interesting because the Seven of Swords is about deceit. It's about thievery. It's about lying. But in this particular deck, the interesting thing is we see, and I'm going to show it to you upright. This stag is literally looking at the reflection of his younger self. Four of the swords are under the water, okay? And then there's one sticking through the water. And then the two that stand next to him as he stands with the moon in the midst of these huge antlers. This is the truth about your childhood, where you've been. Are you being deceptive to yourself? Are you letting any sort of anger and frustration steal your life away from you? A younger version of yourself feels super critical. There's no one else here in the spread. So this is about you. And this is where I want to say to you, hey, Pixie, so good to see you. Welcome to the room. Aries, I am a hot damn ass Aries, and I think that's my Taurus moon as well. So when I recognize that a lot of times my anger has no outlet, it's just burning my life force energy, that has helped me redirect. That's when I started diamond art and some, things that I like to do that use my hands. When my mind goes too crazy or I start to get in a loop, because this faith or fear, this Vanessa card is saying, are you going to let circumstances take you away from what you want most, or will you move through it? Meaning I can't do anything about that. So I can't let it go. So I'll let it grow, because I'll step into my truth and I'll step into my leadership. Because this would be saying that Aries has yet to let their past grow. It's always going to be there, but it's a point of reference now. It's not a destination. And some things can never be changed. I know, so many things to celebrate. I think, doesn't Rosh Hashanah start or something soon? Yeah, lots to celebrate. And at the same time, it feels like it's been a real... Susie, I want to welcome you back. I don't think I've seen you in a while. So glad I didn't think anybody would be here. Monday, I didn't think anyone would be here. And I didn't plan on not being there yesterday. Something came up I had to attend to. All right, let's go on to our Tauruses. Rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. And again, I want to encourage you guys to look at your look at how the planets are playing on your axis, your midheaven, your IC, your ascendant, and your descendant, because we don't often think about that because we're so busy running around the zodiac. But when these planets hit those points, they bring in stuff that's important as well. So if something hits your midheaven, it's going to be up in that public eye, or there'll be like potentially something that's happening during wherever your sense of self is, because we don't all have the same dynamic. All of those are all different as well. Not everybody has, like I have a Capricorn midheaven. Not everybody has a Capricorn midheaven. Okay, Taurus, your angel is Chantal. She's all about love, but more than anything, she's about being open to love and giving and receiving in relationships. Taurus can be a little bit hard because Taurus likes time to get to know someone and to, have a good meal with them and get to know their characteristics. And we're in such a fast-paced world now that relationships want to be on a fast track. You kind of buy the cow before you know if the milk is fresh. And I'm not talking about women being a cow. You can buy the bull before you know if the bull is fresh. Let's see what Spirit is talking about. The mystery. Oh, so you're going to have to make a choice of some kind. The fixed signs don't forget things, right? They're wired that way. They're sandwiched between, the cardinal and the mutable. And while I do believe that the fixed signs can move past things, they need things played out in a certain way. Oh my goodness, 145 Club, sending lots of love to you in Mexico. Hope you're safe. Because I want to offer it this way. Chantal is about opening up to love. The mystery is about choice. So this is not about whether you're in a relationship or not. It's about, are you open to looking through and receiving and seeing love in new ways? Sometimes we can see love and it's supposed to be like this. And then we forget that love can be, oh my God, you remember to dump the trash? Or, hey, Jenny G, good to see you. Happy Equinox. Okay, the Ace of Cups, Taurus, this is all about love. Everything about this right now is about you being aware of love, you assessing how you are viewing love. Are you holding love too tightly? Meaning, it has to be like this, and this, because this is about opening up. This is about choice. And this is Spirit saying, I want to bring you love in all forms, not just one. And sometimes when we start to embrace love in all forms, so this is what I want to say. Recently, I made this deal with myself because I've been, honestly, I've not felt fun. I felt awful for 4 months. So somebody called me and invited me to lunch and said that was their new goal. So I started to adopt that, and I went axe throwing and had lunch with a friend last week. And then I went the week before that or 2 weeks before that and had lunch. And where I'm going with this is not about intimate love. It's about opening up to things that you love. It's about spending time recalibrating and living in the emotional energy and not just saving. Right now, a Taurus could very easily be saving money and being super nervous about resources. We hear all this scary stuff in the news. So I think that this is also about knowing that everything flows, and as we as individuals realize that this period of time is not only a transit, it is also by nature transitory, that our cup will continue to flow as we focus on it. The dove of peace and the higher vibrational colors of purple and lavender sit at the top of this. And of course, the pink lotus flower is so important because that's coming from the heart and the joy. So that's kind of fun for my Taurus moon, because I certainly have not felt that way lately. In fact, I was talking to Spirit about that yesterday. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone. We don't need another mountain. We got mountains and hillsides You know where I'm going with this, don't you? All right, let's go on to our Geminis, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. I can't blow dry my hair either, by the way. It's like 98% humidity here. Okay, no, I'm lying. It's 83% humidity here. So having to deal with that old story too. What's Digogo? What it was? I don't. Oh, Ditto. I was like, what's Diogo? All right, here we go. For our Geminis, our angel card is Chantal again. And then we have the horse, which is, it's interesting because it's about accepting help from another and then delegating authority. But here, there's a couple things hitting me right now. First of all, the horse is about travel. So I feel almost a little bit like Gemini needs to move, which is not strange, but also the 26 in this card. I've played a little bit with Christopher Witecki's step system, and I haven't studied it, but I've only really learned 1 through 12. So I tend to put the 2 and the 6 together as I feel and the Venus energy. And now I'm thinking, okay, so there's something about Gemini opening up instead of feeling closed off potentially, spreading their wings. I get this Sagittarian like opening up a little bit feeling, broadening things. That's so nice, Susie. I hope you do, Georgia. Have a wonderful, wonderful birthday. Solar returns are so powerful for co-creation, and having one right next to a new moon eclipse is just extra special. It's an activation. All right, Gemini. Oh, the Prince of Wands is here. All right, so this is all about moving towards your passions and what you love. And that could be a relationship, but it could be something else as well. So I don't want to just characterize it as that. The other thing that when I look at this, so Chantal has she feels a little closed off here, right? Not that we want a big, booby shot, but there's something about being open and not being open, being open and not being open. Now I have the horse, okay? Movement, moving towards what I want, but this feels like it's with my heart. It feels Jupiterian to me, as if I'm kind of opening up a little bit, like by moving myself, not just potentially physically, Gemini sun, but also moving myself emotionally, becoming more open to the idea that love exists. And I almost want to say that it's not a rare unicorn. Like, because when I look at the two horses back to back, I feel like the one sandwiched in the middle is like, it's possible. And maybe the potential is that Gemini has been feeling that's been thwarted, or they've been guarded. Hi, Tobin. So good to see you. What I realized too is that, I talked earlier about Lucky and his aging process, and he may be around for years more. I don't know how long he's going to be. I'm just noticing it because I know the transits, and the transits are triggering me because I have a South Node in the 12th house of transcendence and loss and visibility. So there's a part of me that is like, and this is where the Gemini thing comes in, because there's a part of me that's like trusting spirit and being like, he's going to be here as long as he wants to be here. He's being a little bit of a brat. He won't eat breakfast, but he'll eat whatever he wants. So if I make him salmon, he'll eat that. He'll eat the treats. So I don't think it's a problem there. I just think he's like me. He's getting older. He wants chips. He doesn't want a full, and so I'm surrendering to that. My point of I'm trying to say for Gemini is there's a double-edged sword to everything. When you choose anything you love, there's always the potential of something happening. We're going to die. I mean, we all know that. So even if you love something and your whole life is filled with love, at some point it will end because you're dying. I know it sounds weird, but you're supposed to default onto picking, allow for it, open up for it, move over. He's mentally handicapped. Does he stare like every once in a while like this? Lucky seems to be just slowing down. He still wants to go on his walks, but he can't. He gets winded. He's sleeping a little bit more. He wants to only eat what he wants to eat. He still has happy dances, but they're not just as much. And I'm just not used to that. So Gemini, overall, let me just. Oh, um, I've never had a dog agent before. It's hard. Lucky is actually he's a Pisces sun. His birthday is the very last day of Pisces. So Saturn and Neptune are right on his sun. And I am giving him, he's 13 and a half years old. So I got him at the beginning of Neptune entering Pisces. And now Neptune's exiting Pisces. So I don't know if when his time will come. I think he's happy for the most part. Right, exactly, CC Pups. I don't want to fight with him anymore. I'm not worried about trying to get every little morsel of nutrients in him, but knowing that he's being picky makes me happy. Like, that's my measure. Like, if he snubs one thing that I cannot tell you how many cans of or things I bought that he won't eat, and then he wants it once. This is where I think he's like me. This is where it really gets crazy, because I don't like to eat the same thing twice. I wasn't here, J-Dog. I came on today because I missed yesterday's show as well. Oh, maybe you meant you missed it. You didn't miss it. But in any case, so I have to surrender to the idea that Lucky will stay as long as he wants to be here. And that somewhere in our life contract, this is already played out. Like, we already know the parameters of it. And I was thinking this morning that when Lucky was 2 years old when I started working for myself in 2014. And now it's the end of 2015. And it was my love of this dog that made me mad, made me quit my job, made me, push on my testing my own ability to create. And I think that that's important right now. I know I'm kind of jawing on past the Gemini, but my recognition that Lucky has done an amazing thing for me. And my job now is to trust that he knows when the journey changes. So for my Geminis overall, open up to what you love. It's time to broaden your horizons. You can either move physically, emotionally, or spiritually, or even potentially educationally. And there will be a sense of passion that's going to be offered for you. And I feel like one of the things that's coming for Gemini, that's coming through right now, is remember that you've been doing the awareness journey of inviting this in. So when it shows up, you just use your powers of discernment. Does it feel good? Does it feel aligned? And then trust the path forward. And if it does a wobble, Spirit will alert you. But something looks like it's going to fire up. Oh, I literally buy him salmon, and I make him salmon. I blanch his carrots. He loves carrots. He hears carrots being chopped, and he comes out from underneath the bed. But he doesn't want carrots every time I offer them to him. He loves mashed potatoes, but he likes them most when he sees me eating them. But I let him lick the bowl of the mashed potatoes. He loves apples, but he loves apples most if I'm eating the apples. He doesn't like, I won't give him chicken because he's allergic. I have bought him beef. I've ground beef, and then he'll eat the ground beef, but then he doesn't want it twice. So, and I'm not forcing him to eat copious amounts of food, but rather giving him little bits to eat throughout the day. So he's a funny one, I'll tell you. It's funny that he's a Pisces and he loves to eat fish so much. This is my first dog, and I think that's also what's getting me, is I don't know the processes. I don't know how much I should be, my cats. I had so many cats that I know cats like the back of my hand. I know how they age. I know how they emote. Everything with Lucky is like first child. He's my guinea pig. And he requires things that, like baths, and things. Dogs are very high maintenance. J Dog, you're funny. Look, humans are high maintenance, but like Lucky, he doesn't like a bath every week. But should he get one? Yeah. Does he get one every 2 weeks as a compromise? Probably, yeah. He's got this long hair. He hates being brushed. I swear, I think he's a big dog in a short dog's body. All right, let's move on to our Cancers so we don't, move on from here. Cancer, your angel is Layla. This is a meditating angel. I know, but at least I was human. The thing about, I know like how a human breathes. I've been asking Chat GPT if he's breathing too hard. He's really not breathing like. He comes in from a walk. I think, he might have a little heart something going on. But I'm giving him his mushrooms, his reishi and mushrooms and his hawthorn berry and his charcoal and everything I can. One of my clients called me recently and did an appointment and told me that her 2 dogs were playing. She got into the shower and she came out, and one of the dogs had passed away of a heart attack on her bed. And I was like, thank you, Cece. I thought, oh my God, how traumatic. And then I thought, how wonderful. The dog was playing. The dog was probably not in any real pain. And it was swift, I guess we just can't focus on any of that stuff. He knows I'm talking about him. He just got up. All right, sorry. Here we go, Cancer. Layla, and now we have Merlin. Oh, this is a time for meditation and magic. Maybe even a little bit of justice. Now, again, our cardinal signs are having, the early degree Cancers are making a square to that Neptune and Saturn energy. So if you're feeling challenged, I'm not surprised. It's time to get some of your feet in the water potentially, maybe even put like some Epsom salts in the bath if you don't live near water, and connect to yourself. Merlin is all about alchemy and balance. I'm not really getting the justice feeling, but let's see where we're going with this. Oh, the King of Pentacles. Okay. Something's coming into focus here, and now it's time to dig deeper into what you want. So the King of Pentacles is very much a Taurus energy for me. It's all about money and finances and resources and building and the material, but with a mastery. Layla here is actually asking Cancer, are you focused in balance on what you're creating, on what you're building? And are you building it because it's something that you love, or it's something that potentially, with Jupiter going through Cancer, the one little bit of a challenge here is it will expand everything within the Cancer energy. And sometimes it will expand, depending upon the planets in there, your history, your roots, your what you really believe. And if you were raised in scarcity for some reason, you may underneath always feel that sense of scarcity, okay? But Spirit's saying, are you really in scarcity, or is that just an old habit? Because something is asking you to look deeper into what you're doing and why you're doing it. Okay. And this to me is really more about karmic justice and balance and understanding an ebb and a flow, that every dip, every divot, every challenge is what gives you the resource to trust that you can build again. Now we have the King of Pentacles bringing in resources, security, money, safety. We see the bears, protection. So if you have been in worry is a form of prayer that does not serve you. It puts your attention and your intention in the very experience you don't want to have. So the realignment into, I am protected, everything that I need, everything. This last 4 months has been so hard on me. I really forgot all my basics. And just this last few days, I started going into my meditation and reciting my mantra. I am a harmoniously wealthy, financially free, spiritual healer and teacher, not astrologer, not psychic. All of my needs are met and provided for at every moment. Money comes to me easily and often. I'm enjoying a full schedule of mutually beneficial client appointments. Remember your conversation, Cancer. Make sure it is aligned not only to balance, but to prosperity. in the now. Remember how often, or pay attention to how often you use the word, I need to do this. Oh my gosh, Lucky's now moved on to his other little pillow and his little ears stuck up. See, I'm going to show you him real quick because I just can't help myself. Can you all see him on his little bed? I love that dog. Okay, let's go on to our Leos and then our Virgos, and we're done. Okay. I'm not here. Well, I'm not giving mine permission to cross CC Pups anytime soon. I will carry his old ass in his sling all over the place if he wants. I will buy him salmon every single day and poach it for him and make him mashed potatoes with a little bit of butter, a little bit of milk. I know, but it tastes better that way. I will hand feed him. He loves being hand fed. He's such a freaking king. And everything, even humans don't cross till they're ready. No matter how sick and how, messed up their bodies are, they'll still stay. It's really a soul decision. And I don't know why lately, I think it's my transits. I'm caught up in, I almost feel like I'm like victim of walking through the shadow of the valley of death, because I listen to these drug commercials, and at my age, I'm going to be 66 in October, and Social Security's dying, everything's dying. And I'm just so tired of being pummeled with fear. Even I don't feel anxiety. I'm like, what is going on? All right, Leo, Azure is here, your desired outcome. Am I on Cancer? No, I'm on Leo. Right, Leo? Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Azure, your desired outcome will happen in the near future. Now, that's very interesting. This is for Leo rising. Have patience and faith and don't try to force it. Oops. Okay. Now, this is interesting because Pluto is opposing Leo right now. There's the death card. Interesting transformation. And it's in the way you're thinking, I think. Let's see. It's interesting with CC Pups and I having this exchange because we're both basically agreeing that nothing leaves the earth plane until it's ready to go. And oftentimes we as humans fear that we have no control over anything, including our death. I don't think this is about literal death, by the way. No, this is the beginning. You're about to transform into the springtime. Now, let me offer you this idea, because our fixed signs sometimes will actually argue for their experience, whether they like it or not, because Azure is saying your desired outcome is coming, but don't try to force it. Don't micromanage it. Don't overthink it. Okay. Now, this death card is no longer destruction. It's the transformation into the springtime of your life, where things are starting to come. There's bounty. There is home. There is interaction with others. There's everything has come. The what was cold is now melting and providing water and bounty. So while Pluto in its opposition to you, especially the early borns, right? And again, remember, all the early born fixed signs are feeling Pluto's energy somehow. This is offering you an opportunity to surrender to the ultimate outcome of what you want. Sometimes when we look at things, the journey feels harder than we want it to be. And the prize feels further away than possible. And here Spirit is saying, no. This is about staying aligned. This is in some level being vulnerable, because this person is jumping off a ledge, and only till she jumps will she know if she can truly fly. So something's coming. This is a lovely, lovely card. So there is something coming into fruition. And I wouldn't be surprised if part of this death card has to do with that not only Pluto, because Pluto rules death, but also somewhere where in the Aries energy that Saturn and Neptune are creating a restriction of something that's exasperating the other thing, which will then pop something out. All right, here we go. On to our Virgos. Rising. I lost CC Pups. Virgos. Rising Sun, Moon, and Stelliums. And then we're done. And I'll be back on Sunday at 11 Pacific time. Recommitted with new awareness of my why. And with my ego really, truly checked aside because I'm tired. Thank you. Did I say thank you, Cece, for my necklace? I really do like my necklace too. I've been into these necklaces lately. All right, here we go, Virgo. Now, I want to offer this. Remember, Virgo, not only did you just have your solar return, you have had 2 very powerful eclipses this month. And over the next 6 months, they're going to reveal something. They could reveal it in 2 weeks, 2 days, but up to 6 months. There's an illusion that's going to be removed. The illusion could have something to do with your enslavement to a situation where you feel like you have to do this, or if you don't do it, it won't get done right. And then you have an opportunity to step into a new process that allows you to open things up, let it grow from there. Because you have the power with this 29-degree eclipse yesterday, the new moon eclipse, to tap into the super galactic center and literally command resources from the universe. As you say, I am so ready, just add to receive and then open the door. And again, this is not about trying to erase negative thoughts or doubt. It's okay to have them. It's just the awareness and the wobble and then bringing yourself back to center. All right, Virgo, our angel is Bethany, self-care. Interesting. Because Virgo is all about other people's care. How can you be of service to others? And in the way it's depicted, it's very limiting. But I think it's now about representing the process of taking your own talents and your skills and creating viable resources from them. I think that's the new Virgo energy, which is why I like Stephen Witecki when he said, Christopher Witecki, when he says, that Chiron rules Virgo, because Chiron is the wound that is transformed into the gift. Okay, Bethany, Virgo, is being joined by the serpent, knowledge and healing, but also shedding a new skin. That's also the South Node going through Virgo. Just really wanting to take any of that toxicity and removing it anywhere where you have been, inadvertently thought, well, if I don't do it, it won't happen. If I don't, if I don't worry about this, if I don't manage this, if I don't push on this. And actually that's what you're learning is the push on is not coming from joy. If it's coming from worry, it creates more worry. You can push on things, but it's what's my vibration when I'm pushing on them? Because most people don't push on something when they trust that it's working. And there's a 6 of Pentacles upside down. Now, there's a reason I leave them reversed, because this would be an indication of not feeling like things are coming to you or not being aware of the law of attraction. In the Rider-Waite deck, the 6 of Pentacles is the benefactor card, where this guy is like has the money and he looks at one guy and decides to give him the money, but the other guy, he decides not to. And when you look closely at that particular card, the guy who has the scales of justice over his head and is not getting the money is wearing a blue robe. That blue is representing the mind, the air element, the thought element. And he's worried. His face is all, ugh. And that is what is repelling the benefactor. The guy in the orange robe who is begging for money is more engaged in his sacral chakra. The orange robe is representing his passion, his fire, his ability to see what he wants to create. The sacral chakra is in the womb area for the woman. It's also in the womb area for the man, but it's about creativity. So the reason the benefactor is giving him the money is because he is telling the story of what he's going to create. This guy's telling the story of his problems. So now this self-care card is shedding the story that you are not receiving what you want, or that you've got to do everything, or that, whatever that old story of Virgo enslavement is. And it could be a story of your health, even, where if you don't, I don't know, a lot of people, it's almost like, I don't know quite how to word it, because it's not like about working out. It's about your daily activities and how you take care of yourself. Do you really need to wear orange every day? That's so funny that you say that, because Cece, I had such an issue with orange for such a long time. My mom was a very violent woman, and I grew up in the 60s where orange and avocado green and mustard yellow were the colors of the decade. And everything in our house was orange. And the orange, I couldn't look at orange for decades because of it. But now I'm over it, and I love orange, and I have orange all over my house in various places. Small Wildflowers is actually working today, but she is, I don't know, Joanne, if you know this, but she's been going through cancer treatment. It started about 2 or 3 months ago, maybe, I don't know. And so her participation is kind of iffy right now. We'll see. I'm hoping she's going to be there next Sunday. We took off. She's having some tests done, I think, today to figure out where they are in the process. And so we're hoping we'll see her on Sunday. So say prayers for her. If any of you are interested in sending her a card, well wishes, on the community board, I've put her address, her P.O. box. You're welcome to do that. I'm really surprised to have so many of you in the room on a Monday. I'm really blessed that you guys are so loyal to me. Again, my wobble has been very big. I mean, literally wobble. And the only thing I can say is that at least I have the wherewithal to pray in these times, and to ask God and the angels and whoever's watching over me to see, to help me see, bigger truth. But it's not easy with Neptune's fog, feeling a little underwater. So yes, that would be great. Prayers for her to feeling herself coming back online. All right, everybody, I will be back on Sunday. I believe it's the 28th at 11 a.m. And we'll do this all again. And we're going to go back to basics. We're going to revisit doing our cards. Next Sunday, we'll do probably a 4-card spread for each sign with each deck. All right, girls and boys, thank you so much for joining. My prayers are always out there for you to feel your sense of value and your balance in this world. And until next Sunday, know I love you. Walk in peace. I'll see you soon.